Hey everybody, Jamie from the Marine Doctors YouTube channel, and I apologize maybe for the sound. It's a little bit windy today, but we're gonna get through this video. Today I want to talk a little bit about, again, that fraudulent case. We had another boat show up. I also want to talk about old boats and why they're still important to everybody or to some people, and shame on you big dealerships. And we'll get to that hopefully at the end if I remember. I know sometimes I start off these videos and I do them on the fly, and sometimes I forget to include stuff at the end, and I apologize for that. But let's see, Friday after I posted my video, another person had come in and mentioned that they'd been to that, well, Stealership, or not Stealership, well I guess no, it wouldn't be Stealership, he doesn't sell boats, but that mechanic in Saskatchewan, here in the province that I'm in, and had issues, and gave him a $300 deposit on repairing the controls and whatnot, because they believed that the boat, although it would go into gear, they couldn't accelerate with it. So I don't know if the engine would die or whatnot, I'm not sure, but the boat is here, so I will be taking a look at it to figure it out. But it's $300, so some of you will be going, well, you know, it's only 300 bucks, it's not a huge loss. But once I show you guys this boat and we start talking about old boats and why they're still important to people, I think you'll have a better understanding. I want to touch on people will buy boats and live outside their means. In other words, they'll buy these big wakeboard tower boats or really expensive fishing boats, and then they become fish boat or boat poor, right? They can't do other things in life because they've spent so much money and they're so deep in hawk that they just can't survive outside of because they own this boat, right? They live check to check because they're making payments on this boat. There are people though that can't afford boats but would still like the boat, and these people try to live within their means. Now I'm not saying this is everybody, I'm just saying that this is what the case looks like, because the people, or no, sorry, not the people, the vehicle that brought the boat in matches the condition of the boat, right? So it to me it looks like they don't have a lot of money and they just want to get out on the water and enjoy themselves. Now, there's people that can go down to the United States and they can go to Florida, or they can even go to Mexico and places like that, and they can have their big holidays. They can spend thousands of dollars to them, and that's the way they spend their time and their money. But there's people around that don't have that ability, and $300 to them is a lot of money. Now, I'm gonna show you guys the boat. You're gonna be shocked. You're gonna say to yourself, what's this boat even going on the water for? And as I mentioned, there's people that are trying to live within their means and still be able to do some of the things that they like to do in life. Here it is. So, this is an old Glasscon. So from the outside, it doesn't look too bad. It's fairly straight, so on and so forth. It's clean on the outside. It doesn't look too banged up. But once we get on the inside, it tells a whole different story. Panels are missing. There's rust on seats. There's stuff that's torn. The control box is damaged, and that's actually the repair they wanted to get done, was something to do with the control box. There's mold growing. The floor is torn up. The engine itself, I haven't tested it yet, but I'm quite certain it's in rough shape. They've modified the seats so that I would assume they tilt up. You know, it's just one of those boats where I just want to be on the water. I just want to go out and fish, or pull my kids, or do what they just want to, right? Now, the $300 that they paid, and I was talking to these people out front there when they showed up, and as I mentioned, the vehicle matched the boat. Not in good shape, obviously don't have a lot of money, so $300 to these people is a lot of money. So when this guy took their $300 and then I look inside this boat and I'm going, well, you know what, I got to do that steering, right? I looked at it and I said, can you turn the steering wheel for me? And guy gets in and he grabs it with two hands and he starts reefing on it. And I said, guys, this isn't even safe. I can't let you guys, or it's not right of me to say that we'll overlook the steering and send you guys out and then there's an accident, right? The steering's got to be done. So up here in Canada, steering setup alone is about 360 bucks, and by the time we install it, because we've got to take the, quite possibly have to take the engine off in this case, we're looking at probably $600 or $700 to replace this steering. Oh my goodness, the guy's heart's just sunk, right? Because they'd already invested that $300 and money was really tight. So then he gets on his phone and he calls his wife and they discuss it, and probably 15-20 minutes later, I get put on the phone with her and I have to explain why I need to charge an amount of money. And I said, look, that's just for the steering. We're going to start with the engine, and if I can fix the engine and get this thing to operate properly, then we'll discuss steering. Until that time, steering's off the table, right? I don't want to spend any of your guys' money unless there's a need to, right? So she said, okay, let's go ahead with it. So here it sits, and hopefully I'm able to dig into it today and get it fixed for them. I'll hopefully keep you guys in the loop. Now, on to the other thing that I said. Shame, shame, shame on the big dealers. Now, the reason I'm saying that is there's big dealers out there, and what they will do is they will sell product, and then they won't do any of the work on the product. They're just interested in selling product. So we sell loose engines here, which we warranty and we look after, and that's it. We don't sell big boats anymore. But it just seems to be the norm now, and it's accepted that you could go to a big dealership without the, how can I state this? Without the backing of the dealership should something go wrong. They'll just say, well, you can just take it to one of the other Mercury dealerships and they'll work on it and they'll look after the warranty for it, and so on and so forth. And shame on you guys. Where's the customer experience? Like, we always get people that come in here and they've gone to the big places and they're just so frustrated with them because they don't get that one-on-one that you get at the smaller dealerships, where you actually walk through the door and you feel like you're wanted to be there. And of course, you're wanted to be at the big dealership, provided you've got X number of dollars in your hand. But once that transaction takes place, they shake your hand, you're out the door, and you're on your own. Okay, so that's one rant with regards to the, well, we're going to call those guys Stealerships just because. The other thing is, they would see a boat like this come in and they would chastise the person and tell them that it shouldn't be on the water, and they won't fix it. And you got to take it up to Ron's Marine, where the marine doctor is, and he'll work on it for you. I appreciate that, I do, but why are they doing it to people? Why do they get to pass judgment on people that just can't simply afford to have new boats or nice things? Maybe this is a nice thing for these people, I don't know. But why are they allowed to do that to people? And it's happening in my industry. It happens in the automotive industry. You take your vehicle in, you get it worked on, and they're like, why don't you just sell this piece of junk and get something better? Well, because sometimes $300 is a lot of money to somebody. That's why. No, it's just, it gets out of hand. It just is. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is this, and it's a huge positive thing. And it humbled me, and it left me with a big smile on my face. I was phoned by a gentleman from Kansas yesterday after he watched a couple of my videos, and he wanted some information on rebuilding his 175 horsepower Johnson, and suggested to me that he would even like to bring it up here in Canada for me to work on it. And oh my God, that is so humbling for me to hear that kind of stuff. I've done marine work for over 35 years, and it's so nice to hear that kind of stuff, that people have that kind of trust in you, and it's heartwarming. It really is. And I really appreciate the fact that he took the time to phone me to say thank you for the videos, and even offered to possibly bring his boat up. I know it would be expensive for him to do that. He's a trucker. He says he's used to travel, but I also suggested that, you know, look through the reviews and whatnot in your area. Perhaps you can find someone that is trustworthy and will help you out. But again, I was just blown away. completely blown away. That's the second phone call that I've got. And guys, believe it or not, I read all your comments, and they're fantastic. I love them. You guys are great. You help me want to do more content. You make, some of you guys make my day. You do, and I really appreciate it. And with that said, I will see you guys in the next video, because I got to get busy getting this guy back on the water and hopefully do him a solid and help him out really good with a good price. All right, guys, catch you later. Thanks for watching.